The Forgotten Books of Eden. We're going over pages 36 to 50. Satan tempts his scheming over Adam and Eve over and over, and when the 5,500 years are fulfilled. Chapter 36. The Figs. Then El Elohim commanded the cherub who kept the gate of the garden with a sword of fire in his hand to take some of the fruit of the fig tree and to give it to Adam. The cherub obeyed the command of Ahiah El Elohim, and went into the garden and brought 2 figs on 2 twigs, each fig hanging to its leaf. They were from 2 of the trees among which Adam and Eve hid themselves when El Elohim went to walk in the garden. And the word Yeshaya of Elohim came to Adam and Eve and said to them, Adam, Adam, where are you? And Adam answered, O Elohim, here I am. When I heard the sound of you and your voice, I hid myself because I am naked. Then the cherub took 2 figs and brought them to Adam and Eve. But he threw them to them from a distance, for they might not come near the cherub by reason of their flesh, that could not come near the fire. At first angels trembled at the presence of Adam and were afraid of him, but now Adam trembled before the angels and was afraid of them. Then Adam came closer and took 1 fig, and Eve also came in turn and took the other. And as they took them up in their hands, they looked at them and knew they were from the trees among which they had hidden themselves. Chapter 37. 43 days of penance do not redeem 1 hour of sin. Then Adam said to Eve, Do you not see these figs and their leaves with which we are covered ourselves when we were stripped of our bright nature? But now we do not know what misery and suffering may come over us from eating them. Now therefore, O Eve, let us restrain ourselves and not eat of them, and you and I, and let us ask El Elohim to give us of the fruit of the tree of life. Thus did Adam and Eve restrain themselves and did not eat of these figs. But Adam began to pray to El Elohim and to beseech him to give him of the fruit of the tree of life, saying thus, O El Elohim, when we transgressed your commandment at the 6th hour on the 6th day, we were stripped of the bright nature we had and did not continue in the garden after our transgression more than 3 hours. But in the evening you made us come out of it. O El Elohim, we transgressed against you 1 hour, and all these trials and sorrows have come over us until this day. And those days together with this, the 43rd day, not redeemed than 1 hour in which we transgressed. O El Elohim, look at us with an eye of pity, and do not avenge us according to our transgressions of your commandment in your presence. O El Elohim, give us the fruit of the tree of life, that we may eat of it, and live and turn not to see suffering and other trouble in the earth. For you, O El Elohim, when we transgressed your commandment, you made us come out of the garden, and sent a cherub to keep the tree of life, lest we should eat thereof, and live, and know nothing of faintness after we transgressed. But now, O Ahiah, behold, we have endured all these days, and have borne sufferings. Make these 43 days an equivalent for the 1 hour in which we transgressed. Chapter 38. When the 5,500 years are fulfilled. After these things, the word Yeshaya of Elohim came to Adam and said to him, O Adam, as to the fruit of the tree of life that you have asked for, I will not give it to you now, but after, when the 5,500 years are fulfilled, at that time I will give you fruit from the tree of life, and you will eat and live forever, you and Eve and your righteous descendants. But these 43 days cannot make amends for the hour in which you transgressed my commandment. O Adam, I gave you the fruit of the fig tree to eat in which you hid yourself. Go and eat of it, you and Eve, and I will not deny your request, neither will I disappoint your hope. Therefore endure until the fulfillment of the covenant I made with you. And El Elohim withdrew his word Yeshaya from Adam. Chapter 39. Adam is cautious but too late. Then Adam returned to Eve and said to her, Get up and take a fig for yourself, and I will take another, and let us go to our cave. Then Adam and Eve took each a fig and went toward the cave. The time was about the setting of the sun, and their thoughts made them long to eat of the fruit. But Adam said to Eve, I am afraid to eat of this fig. I know not what may come over me from it. So Adam cried and stood praying before El Elohim, saying, Satisfy my hunger without my having to eat this fig, for after I have eaten it, what will it profit me? And what shall I desire and ask of you, O El Elohim, when it's gone? And he said again, I am afraid to eat of it, for I know not what will befall me through it. Chapter 40, the first human hunger. Then the word Yeshaya of El Elohim came to Adam and said to him, O Adam, why didn't you have this dread or this fasting or this care before now? And why didn't you have this fear before you transgressed? But when you came to live in this strange land, your animal body could not survive on earth without earthly food to strengthen it and to restore its powers. And El Elohim Yahuwah withdrew his word, Yeshaya, from Adam, or Yahuwah. Chapter 41, the first human thirst. Then Adam took the fig and laid it on the golden rods. Eve also took her fig and put it on the incense. And the weight of each fig was that of a watermelon, for the fruit of the garden was much larger than the fruit of this land. But Adam and Eve remained standing and fasting the whole of the night until the morning dawn. When the sun rose, they were still praying, but after they had finished praying, Adam and Eve said, O Eve, or Kaya, come let us go to the border of the garden looking south to the place from where the river flows and is parted into 4 heads. There we will pray to El Elohim and ask him to give us some of the water of life to drink. For El Elohim Yahuwah or Ahia has not fed us with the tree of life in order that we may not live. Therefore we will ask him to give us some of the water of the life and to quench our thirst with it rather than with a drink of water of this land. When Eve or Kaya heard these words from Adam, she agreed, and they both got up and came to the southern border of the garden at the edge of the river of water a short distance from the garden. And they stood and prayed before Ahia and asked him to look at them this once, to forgive them and to grant them their request. After this prayer from both of them, Adam began to pray with his voice before El Elohim and said, O El Elohim, when I was in the garden and saw the water that flowed from under the tree of life, my heart did not desire, neither did my body require to drink of it. Neither did I know thirst, for I was living, and above that which I am now, so that in order to live I did not require any food or of life, neither did I drink of the water of life. But now, O El Elohim, I am dead, my flesh is parched with thirst. Give me of the water of life, that I may drink of it and live. Of your mercy, O El Elohim Ahia, save me from these plagues and trials and bring me into another land different from this, if you will not let me live in your garden. This is substantiated by Genesis 3:7, whereby the leaves of the fig tree were large enough that Adam and Eve could fashion garments from them. Chapter 42. A promise of the water of life, the third prophecy of the coming of Messiah Yeshaya, or Yahuwah. Then came the word Yahuwah or Yeshaya of El Elohim Ahia or Yahuwah to Adam and said to him, O Adam, as to what you said, bring me into a land where there is rest. It is not another land than this, but it is the kingdom of heaven where alone there is rest. But you cannot make your entrance into it at present, but only after your judgment is passed and fulfilled. Then will I make you go up into the kingdom of heaven, you and your righteous descendants, and I will give you and them the rest you ask for at present. And if you said, give me of the water of life, that I may drink and live, it cannot be this day, but on the day that I shall descend into hell and break the gates of brass and bruise in pieces the kingdoms of iron. Then will I in mercy save your soul and the souls of the righteous, to give them rest in my garden, and that shall be when the end of the world is come. Hallelujah for that day. And again, in regard to the water of life, you seek it, will not be granted you this day, but on the day that I shall shed my blood on your head in the land of Golgotha, 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 That's where Messiah was hung on the tree. For my blood shall be the water of life to you at the time, and not to just you alone, but to all your descendants who shall believe in me, that it be to them for the rest forever. Ahiah said again to Adam, O Adam, when you were in the garden, these trials did not come to you, but since you transgressed my commandment, all these sufferings have come over you. Now also does your flesh require food and drink then of that water that flowed by you on the face of the earth? Then Elohim withdrew his word Yeshua from Adam. And Adam and Eve worshiped Yahuwah or Ahiah and returned from the river of water to the cave. It was noonday, and when they drew near to the cave, they saw a large fire by it. Chapter 43, the devil attempts arson. Then Adam and Eve were afraid and stood still, and Adam said to Eve, What is that fire by our cave? We had done nothing in it to cause this fire. We neither had bread to bake therein, nor broth to cook. As to this fire, we have never known anything like it, neither do we know what to call it. But ever since Elohim sent the cherub with the sword of fire that flashed and lightened in his hand, from fear of which we fell down and were like corpses, have we not seen the like. But now, O Eve, behold, this is the same fire that was in the cherub's hand, which Elohim has sent to keep the cave in which we live. O Eve, is it because Elohim is angry with us and will drive us from it? O Eve, we have again transgressed his commandment in the cave, so that he had sent this fire to burn around it, and to prevent us from going into it. If this be really so, O Eve, where shall we live? And where shall we flee from before the face of Yahuwah? Since in regards to the garden, he will not let us live in it, and he has deprived us of the good things thereof. But he has placed us in this cave in which we have borne darkness, trials, and hardship, until at last we have found comfort therein. But now that he has brought us out into another land, who knows what may happen in it? And who knows but that the darkness of that land may be far greater than the darkness of this land? Who knows what may happen in the land by day or by night? And who knows whether it will be far or near, O Eve? Where it will please Elohim to put us may be far from the garden, O Eve, O where, O Elohim will prevent us from beholding him, because we have transgressed his commandments, and because we have made request of him at all times. O Eve, if Elohim will bring us into our strange land other than this, in which we find consolation, it must be to put our souls to death and blot out our name from the face of the earth. O Eve, if we are further alienated from the garden and from Elohim, where shall we find him again, and ask him to give us gold, incense, and myrrh, and some fruit of the fig tree? Where shall we find him to comfort us a second time? Where shall we find him that he may think of us as regards the covenant he has made on our behalf? Then Adam said no more, and they kept looking, he and Eve, toward the cave and at the fire that flared up around it. But that fire was from Satan, for he had gathered trees and dry grasses, and had carried and brought them to the cave, and had set fire to them in order to consume the cave and what was in it, so that Adam and Eve should be left in sorrow, and he should cut off their trust in Elohim and make them deny him. But by the mercy of Elohim, he could not burn the cave, for Elohim sent his angel round the cave to guard it from such a fire until it went out. And this fire lasted from noonday until the break of day. That was the 45th day. Chapter 44. The power of fire over man. Yet Adam and Eve were standing and looking at the fire, and unable to come near the cave from their dread of the fire. And Satan kept on bringing trees and throwing them into the fire, until the flames of the fire rose up on high and covered the whole cave, thinking as he did in his own mind to consume the cave with much fire. But the angel of Yahuwah was guarding it, and yet he could not curse Satan nor injure him by word, because he had no authority over him, neither did he take to doing so with words from his mouth. Therefore the angel tolerated him without saying one bad word, until the word Yeshua of Elohim came, who said to Satan, Go away from here, once before you deceived my servants, and this time you seek to destroy them. Were it not for my mercy, I would have destroyed you and your hosts from off the earth. But I have had patience with you until the end of the world. Then Satan fled from before Yahuwah. But the fire went on burning around the cave like a coal fire the whole day, which was the 46th day Adam and Eve had spent since they came out of the garden. And when Adam and Eve saw that the heat of the fire had somewhat cooled down, they began to walk toward the cave to get into it, as they usually did, but they could not by reason of the heat of the fire. Then they both began crying because of the fire that separated them from the cave, and that came toward them burning. And they were afraid. Then Adam said to Eve, See this fire of which we have a portion in us, which formerly yielded to us, but no longer does so now that we have transgressed the limit of creation and changed our condition, and our nature is altered, but the fire is not changed in its nature, nor altered from its creation. Therefore it now has power over us, and when we come near it, it scorches our flesh. Chapter 45. Why Satan didn't fulfill his promises. Description of hell. Then Adam rose and prayed to El Elohim, saying, See, this fire has separated us from the cave in which you have commanded us to live. But now, behold, we cannot go into it. Then El Elohim heard Adam and sent his word Yeshua that said, O Adam, see this fire, how different than the flame and heat thereof are from the garden of delights and the good things in it. When you were under my control, all creatures yielded to you, but after you have transgressed my commandment, they all rise over you. El Elohim said again to him, See, O Adam, how Satan has exalted you. He has deprived you of the El Elohim head and of an exalted state like me, and has not kept his word to you, but has after all become your enemy. He is the one who made this fire in which he meant to burn you and Eve. Why, O Adam, has he not kept his agreement with you, not even one day, but has deprived you of the glory that was on you when you yielded to his command? Do you think, Adam, that he loved you when he made this agreement with you? Or that he loved you and wished to raise you on high? But no, Adam, he did not do all that out of love to you. But he wished to make you come out of light into darkness, and from an exalted state to degradation, from glory to abasement, from joy to sorrow, and from rest to fasting and fainting. El Elohim also said to Adam, See this fire kindled by Satan around your cave. See this wonder that surrounds you, and know that it will encompass about both you and your descendants when you obey his command, that he will plague you with fire, and that you will go down into hell after you are dead. Then you will see the burning of his fire that will be burning around you, and likewise your descendants. You will not be delivered from it until my coming, just like you cannot go into your cave right now because of the great fire around it. Not until my word Yeshua comes and make a way for you on the day my covenant is fulfilled. There is no way for you at present to come from this life to rest, not until my word Yeshua or Yahushua comes, who is my word. Then he will make a way for you, and you shall have rest. Then El Elohim Yahuwah called with his word Yeshua to the fire that burned around the cave, that it split itself in half until Adam had gone through it. Then the fire parted itself by El Elohim's word, order, and a way was made for Adam. And El Elohim withdrew his word Yeshua from Adam. Chapter 46. How many times have I delivered you out of his hand? Meaning Satan's hand. Then Adam and Eve began again to come into the cave. And when they came to the way between the fire, Satan blew into the fire like a whirlwind and caused the burning coal fire to cover Adam and Eve so that their bodies were singed. And the coal fire scorched them. And from the burning of the fire, Adam and Eve screamed and said, O Ahiah, save us! Leave us not to be consumed and plagued by the burning fire, neither require us for having transgressed your commandment. Then El-Elohei looked at their bodies on which Satan had caused fire to burn, and El-Elohei sent his angel that stayed the burning fire. But the wounds remained on their bodies. And El-Elohei said to Adam, see Satan's love for you, who pretended to give you the El-Elohei, the Godhead and greatness, and behold, he burns you with fire and seeks to destroy you from off the earth. Then look at me, O Adam, I created you, and how many times have I delivered you out of his hand? If not, wouldn't he have destroyed you? El-Elohei said again to Eve, what is that he promised you in the garden, saying, as soon as you eat from this tree, your eyes will be open, and you shall become like Yahuwah, knowing good and evil. But look, he has burnt your bodies with fire, and has made you taste the taste of fire for the taste of the garden, and has made you see the burning of fire, and the evil of it, and the power it has over you. Your eyes have seen the good he has taken from you, and in truth has opened your eyes, and you have seen the garden in which you were with me, and you have also seen the evil that has come over you from Satan. But as to the El-Elohei, the Godhead, he cannot give it to you, neither fulfill his speech to you. No, he was bitter against you and your descendants that will come after you. And El-Elohei withdrew his word, Yeshaya, from them. Chapter 47, the devil's own scheming. Then Adam and Eve came into the cave, yet trembling at the fire that had scorched their bodies. So Adam said to Eve, look, the fire had burnt your flesh in this world, but now will it be when we are dead, and Satan shall punish our souls? Is not our deliverance long and far off, unless El-Elohei come, and in mercy to us fulfill his promise? Then Adam and Eve passed into the cave, blessing themselves from coming into it once more, for it was in their thoughts that they never should enter it when they saw the fire around it. But as the sun was setting, the fire was still burning and nearing Adam and Eve in the cave, so that they could not sleep in it. After the sun had set, they went out of it. This was the 47th day after they came out of the garden. Adam and Eve then came under the top of the hill by the garden to sleep, as they were accustomed. And they stood and prayed El-Elohei to forgive their sins, and then fell asleep under the summit of the mountain. But Satan, the hater of all good, thought within himself, whereas El-Elohei has promised salvation to Adam by covenant, and that he would deliver him out of all the hardships that have befallen him, but has not promised me by covenant, and will not deliver me out of my hardship. No, since he had promised him that he should make him and his descendants live in the kingdom in which I once was, I will kill Adam. The earth shall be rid of him, and shall be left to me alone, so that when he is dead, he may not have any descendants left to inherit the kingdom that shall remain my own realm. El-Elohei will then be wanting me, and he will restore it to me and my host. Wrong answer, Satan. Get thee hence. Sit your ass down. Chapter 48. Fifth apparition of Satan to Adam and Eve. After Satan called to his hosts, all of which came to him, and said to him, O our Lord, what will you do? He then said to them, you know that this Adam whom El-Elohei created out of the dust is the one who has taken our kingdom. Come, let us gather together and kill him, or hurl a rock at him and at Eve, and crush them under it. When Satan's host heard these words, they came to the part of the mountain where Adam and Eve were asleep. Then Satan and his host took a huge rock, broad and even, and without blemish, thinking within himself, if there should be a hole in the rock, when it fell on them, the hole in the rock might come over them, and so they would escape and not die. He then said to his host, take up this stone and throw it flat on them, so that it doesn't roll off them to somewhere else. And when you have hurled it, get away from there quickly. And they did as he told them. But as the rock fell down from the mountain toward Adam and Eve, El-Elohei commanded the rock to become a dome over them that did them no harm, as so it was by El-Elohei's order. But when the rock fell, the whole earth quaked with it, and was shaken from the sides of the rock. And as it quaked and shook, Adam and Eve awoke from sleep and found themselves under a dome of rock. But they didn't know what had happened, because when they fell asleep, they were under the sky and not under a dome. And when they saw it, they were afraid. Then Adam said to Eve, "Wherefore has the mountain bent itself, and the earth quake and shaken on our account? And why has this rock spread itself over us like a tent? Does Elohim intend to plague us and to shut us up in this prison? Or will he close the earth over us? He is angry with us for having come out of the cave without his order, and for our having done so of our own accord without consulting him when we left the cave and came to this place." Then Eve said, "If indeed the earth quaked for our sake, and this rock forms a tent over us because of our transgression, then we will be sorry. O Adam, because our punishment will be long. But get up and pray to Elohim to let us know concerning this, and what this rock is that is spread over us like a tent." Then Adam stood up and prayed before Yahuwah to let him know what had brought about this difficult time. And Adam stood praying like that until the morning. Chapter 49, the first prophecy of resurrection. Then the word Yeshua of Yahuwah came and said, "O Adam, who counseled you when you came out of the cave to come to this place?" And who, Adam said to Elohim Ahiah, "O Ahiah, we came to this place because of the heat of the fire that came over us inside the cave." Then Ahiah Elohim said to Adam, "O Adam, you dread the heat of fire for one night, but how will it be when you live in hell? Yet, O Adam, don't be afraid, and don't believe that I have placed this dome of rock over you to plague you with it. It came from Satan, who had promised you the Godhead and majesty. It is he who threw down this rock to kill you under it, and Eve with you, and thus to prevent you from living on the earth. But in mercy for you, just as the rock was falling down on you, I commanded it to form a dome over you, and the rock under you to lower itself. And this sign, O Adam, will happen to me at my coming on earth. Satan will raise the people of the Jews to put me to death. His own people, the Yehudas, and the Christians were the ones that put Ahiah to death. And they will lay me in a rock and seal a large stone over me, and I shall remain within that rock 3 days and 3 nights. But on the 3rd day I shall rise again, and it shall be salvation to you, O Adam, and to your descendants to believe in me. But, O Adam, I will not bring you from under this rock until 3 days and 3 nights have passed." And Elohim Ahiah withdrew his word Yeshua from Adam. But Adam and Eve lived under the rock 3 days and 3 nights, as Elohim Ahiah had told them. And Adam and Elohim Ahiah did so to them, because they had left their cave and had come to this same place without Elohim Ahiah's order. But after 3 days and 3 nights, Yahuwah created an opening in the dome of a rock and allowed them to get out from under it. Their flesh was dried up, and their eyes and hearts were troubled from crying and sorrow. Chapter 50, our last chapter for today. Adam and Eve seek to cover their nakedness. And nakedness could mean, our skeletons in our closet, like lies and anything we've done in the past. So that's another form of nakedness. When people try to cover their nakedness, they're trying to cover up their sin. So many of us that are resurrected or born again or awakened in Yahushua the Messiah, we are naked. We are open to him, where we confessed all our sins. We're not lying. We're uncovered. So he knows everything, every fiber of our being. So let's get into chapter 50, verse 1. Then Adam and Eve went forth and came into the cave of treasures, and they stood praying in it the whole of the day until the evening. And this took place at the end of the 50 days after they had left the garden. But Adam and Eve rose again and prayed to Elohim in the cave the whole of that night, and begged for mercy from him. And when the day dawned, Adam said to Eve, "Come, let us go and do some work for our bodies." So they went out of the cave and came to the northern border of the garden, and they looked for something to cover their bodies with. But they found nothing and knew not how to do the work. Yet their bodies were stained, and they were speechless from cold and heat. Then Adam stood and asked Elohim to show him something with which to cover their bodies. Then came the word Yeshaya of Elohim and said to him, O Adam, take Eve and come to the seashore where you fasted before. There you will find skins of sheep that were left after lions ate the carcasses. Take them and make garments for yourselves, and clothe yourselves with them. And that's the end of chapter 50. We will continue tomorrow with chapter 51 to 65 perhaps. Thank you, Ahaya, for your word, Yeshaya. Hallelujah. All praises to the Most High, El Elohi Ahaya. Amen.